and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Nosebleed Radio, presented by Paisan's Pizzeria in Omaha. Here's your host, Tucker Franklin.
What episode are we on? 25?
Yeah. I think we're, 25.
It's 25.
I have Nate Gary for there.
Okay. What's up? Episode number 25 of Nosebleed Radio is up and running. I'm here with the boys, Toby Todd.
What's up?
And Shane Miller.
Hey, how's it going, Roll Hawks?
We're down a man today. It's even a late release podcast. We did have some scheduling conflicts, but we were able to get a podcast in. There's a lot of headlines in sports, so we really needed to get one out here. We'll start off with our famous number 25s like we usually do. Shane, you want to start us off?
Yeah, first off, I want to say that we say this a lot, but it's wild that it's been 25 weeks.
25 is a long time.
It's been a little longer than 25 weeks because we had a couple
Best
ofs and whatever, but
they made that draft episode too.
Yeah, we didn't make the draft episode. So that's nuts. But my number 25 is, I'm torn now because of the team he ended up on, but Nate Gary from Nebraska was number 25 as a safety. We'll probably talk about things that concern him a little later when we talk about the new tackling rules, but he was a monster safety for Nebraska when he played. Way aggressive. The type of guy that you like to see having the ball or play on your team, you know. He's super cocky too. Remember when he picked off Josh Allen and handed him the ball back as he was running off the field?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Josh Allen.
And he got kicked out for the most bullshit tackles. Like if you watch the plays, they were the cleanest hits I've ever seen. He just hit like way too hard, and the refs felt bad for the other guys. Like in the game against Iowa and the UCLA bowl game.
The UCLA one was the worst.
Yeah,
that was bad.
I took a little bit there, and I had to try to think back, but I do remember it.
Ridiculous.
So
refs hated him because he had a huge dick, probably.
Now we're jumping to conclusions. Toby, who's your number 25s?
Well, I'm going to go with the guy who has very small testicles, Barry Bonds. A lot of people give him a lot of flack, for the steroid era. But in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's, still the home run king. It was so fun just seeing him mash balls out of the yard, watching pitchers literally with fear in their eyes miss the target by, 4 or 5 feet. The intentional walks. I don't think I've ever seen a player as feared as Barry Bonds in baseball.
I believe that he has the most intentional walks of everybody all time. I don't know if that stat's right, but I'll look it up real quick.
He has the best on-base percentage in a single season ever. He was walked a record number of times, and there was at one point a game where he was intentionally walked with the bases loaded and the opponent leading by 3 runs, I believe. And they said,
right.
We'd rather walk in a run.
It was anybody else. And then I'm going to go with my guy, Jamal Charles, my second number 25. He was quite the running back when he played for the Chiefs. Unfortunately, a lot of injury problems derailed. Well, didn't necessarily derail. Still a very, very productive career. But you just wonder what could have been without the injuries. Would he still be here right now, And Jamal Charles was my guy, and he just continued a long lineage of great running backs for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Based off of Tucker's face and the fact that he's now Googling other people wearing number 25, I think you stole his.
No, I saw he had 25. I just couldn't remember what Christian Okoye wore. We did already talk about Christian Okoye earlier today, Nigerian Nightmare. Bruce Arians, listened to an interview with Bruce Arians, said he's the most athletic person he's ever coached, which is pretty high praise from Bruce Arians, who's coached we had Patterson and
Larry Fitzgerald,
Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell,
Kurt Warner.
Athlete.
He's the most athletic grocery bagger of all time.
You're gonna find. So I did look up that stat about intentional walks, and Barry Bonds holds the most of the records for intentional walks, including 4 in a 9-inning game, 120 in a season, and 668 in his career, more than the next 2 players on the all-time list, Albert Pujols and Hank Aaron combined.
Holy shit!
And he has 21 intentional walks in the postseason. Nobody wanted to throw that dude.
That's insane. Like, you're literally just setting up camp in someone's head. If like when you said they walked a run with the bases loaded.
If you intentionally walk somebody 4 times in a 9-inning game, realistically, that means he probably did not get an at-bat that game.
No,
They
there's no
said,
way.
we are completely eliminating him from the equation. Imagine the pitcher throwing like a perfect game, but the first at-bat of the game, they're like, hey, intentionally walk this guy. So he finished the game, no hits allowed, 4 walks. It's like,
That's
well,
still
still a no-hitter, but
Still a no-hitter, but
you intentionally walked a guy
Kind of a
4
bitch move.
times. Yeah.
Well, my number 25. I was thinking about this. Reggie Bush was 25, wasn't he?
oh yeah,
Mm.
Not
At
in
the Saints.
college,
At the
right? With the
Saints.
Saints,
Yeah,
he
New
was
Orleans
because he was number 5 in college.
Cinco.
That's
Steroid
a
Reggie.
cool,
was
that's a
number 5.
cool number. I think single-digit running backs is such a cool
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
Single-digit. The coolest one are single-digit defensive linemen.
Yeah.
It goes. You have to be like a very athletic build defensive lineman. You can't be like a
I think
big
that's.
fat guy.
I necessarily don't think that's true. I watched Georgia one year, had number 2 as their guy, and he was a 330-pound lineman.
Well, we watched that high school game today, and their defensive tackle was number 9. The 9 just looked too stretched out. Like it didn't look like it really fit.
Shouts to Rashawn Gary, number 3, Michigan defensive end.
He's got an
Best in the
athletic build though.
country.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
He's a little wider. He's a little wider on the way. He's got some junk in the trunk, but he still has like an athletic build.
Very athletic.
Big ass.
Mm,
Got big ass on him.
Shane's a big ass guy.
yeah. Shane's a
He could probably play basketball. Just box people out.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt, especially with that athletic build.
Yeah, and Randy Gregory, when he was at Nebraska, he went from 44 to 4, and I kind of like the move there because he's just an all around athlete. He would literally jump over defensive or offensive linemen who got in his way. So I think it has to be the right defensive lineman, never an interior defensive lineman though. It has to be an end.
Mm, that's a hot take. But I completely agree about the single-digit running backs.
Yeah.
And I think the number 5, I just think is a very, like, athletic number, Like, if
Yeah.
you see, like, in high school football, if you see somebody wearing the number 5, you're like, all right, this guy is pretty legit.
Yeah, one of my linebackers this year is number 5, and he definitely had the majority of the tackles last night against Bennington. Shout out Alex Van Dyke. Shout out Scott Catholic Skyhawks for getting the dub.
Yeah,
1-0.
whatever.
Yeah, Trent did fare so well.
Yeah, I like talking about high school football.
High school football recap. How did Trent do?
They took one to the chin this week.
Sound like he was taking it to the
55
balls.
to 7. It's hard to win a football game when your offense isn't good and your defense isn't good. So that's my expert analysis on that.
New segment idea. Whoever's former and for some of us current high school football teams does better this year gets $1 from the losers.
Gets a daughter?
Dollar
Dollar.
from the losers. Naming rights to a daughter. No, we get $1. So
That's
now,
an interesting
me and
take.
Kieran are tied 1-1.
Can't shout out Marshall High School getting
I
their
guess
first
per
win.
competition, because
Yeah.
you could stay behind in B instead of playing like top class, like the good B schools last year went to do.
They weren't good. We beat 2 of them.
Well, they're not good now in A, apparently.
Yeah, Gretna got dicked.
Oh, how I don't know how Oak South did.
Well, Elkhorn played Elkhorn South.
So two
And Elkhorn
Class B
South won by
schools.
7.
It's pretty close.
Elkhorn South is not as good as they were last year.
Good. Go
Yeah.
Creighton Prep.
Creighton Prep barely beat Omaha North.
Omaha North's good though.
Oh yeah, no, Omaha North was number 2. Creighton Prep was number 4, I believe.
Yeah, number 1's probably Omaha Burke.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my squad.
They've
They have
got-
2 guys gonna play D1. Like one guy in the top 100.
Really?
He
Yeah.
was yeah. Well, he was 293 on ESPN.
Oh, maybe it's top 300.
But he's a beast. Outside linebacker.
Oh yeah, he's way good, dude.
Nick
And he
Heidman.
doesn't look like I'm sorry if you're listening to this, Nick, but probably not. He doesn't look like super athletic when if you just ran into him, but he is way good. And they have a running back who's way good too. He was the number 3 wrestler in the world this last year.
Mm.
He wrestled in like Croatia and shit.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Nebraska
Dangerous
wrestling's
country.
getting
What?
Croatia's a dangerous country.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe somewhere else. But it was somewhere overseas and like.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that he didn't go to Croatia. I'm just saying
Yeah.
Croatia's a
But
dangerous
he was
country.
number 1 in like America and then like went over to somewhere in Europe.
also interesting. Since we're talking about Nebraska high school football, in the junior ESPN 300, Nebraska has a guy who is ranked 69.
Nice. Who?
Nice receiver from Bellevue East.
Oh yeah, he's a stud.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pretty
way good.
4 schools were looking at him, and the top 2 were Nebraska and Iowa. So I
Yeah.
think I know where
Honestly,
he might be going.
I think with Scott Frost there, he's going to Nebraska now. But honestly, if Mike Riley was still there, he might end up going to Iowa.
Or Minnesota.
Is Minnesota looking at him?
Yeah.
I think he'd rather go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But I think just
Rose Bowl.
speaking objectively, I haven't talked to him about this. I'll put it that way. But I would think with Scott Frost being there and the new coaching staff, he'll go to Nebraska.
Oh wow. Okay, so
And I was talking Nebraska high school football.
yeah, there we go, and a little splash of Trenton football. Now I'm not saying I was a little rough on the boys. I will say that, but they just they shot themselves in the foot. Anytime you turn the ball over 7
Yeah, I
times,
was gonna say, didn't you say they lost the turnover battles 7-0?
7-0. There's just I'm sure you go back to the tape, maybe see a couple good things, build on that, but there's just not a whole lot of positives when you lose a game
we were
55
watching
to
the
7.
game earlier today from the thing you pulled up online. And
Yeah.
Lathrop just looked like
Lathrop's a good football
heads
team.
and tails better than.
I on the radio, I called them a wagon. I did. I pulled out the wagon term because they look good. They got those fresh new uniforms that, like, Indy and Last Chance U.
Yeah, their jerseys are pretty sweet.
Same
They have the
Adidas
metallic
template.
numbers.
The Adidas template is Last Chance U, pretty much, because I think even East Mississippi had those uniforms.
Yeah.
That template. So that template's been around for a while. Northwest has that same template.
Yeah.
It's just the Adidas one.
Yeah, it's a Adidas one.
And all Adidas schools have it. Nebraska probably has it.
For alternates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You still go traditional,
We
but
go traditional.
no, you'd have to have that Adidas template
Nope.
because that's what Adidas does everywhere.
Nope.
Not in Nebraska, I guess, because Nebraska's so
we're
special.
I mean, ours was already similar, but
Yeah, I was just messing with you.
I know because you're jealous because Missouri's never had a championship.
We've won baseball championships.
Yeah, because everybody really cares about
This
baseball.
has turned into
I care about baseball. Speaking of baseball, Players Weekend was this weekend.
Good
Thank you
transition.
for the great segue. Players Weekend was this weekend. KB's not with us, and he actually sent a post to our group message here on Instagram of this is Carlos Gomez, I believe.
Yep.
Where they have the patches that thank somebody on their team or somebody just like in their life for getting them to where they are. And Carlos Gomez thanked himself, and he said myself on the side of his sleeve, which Players Weekend is a really cool thing that they've kind of done recently. I'm glad that they do it.
I like it.
It shows a lot of personality.
We talked about this before with the MLB has trouble marketing to the new generation or whatever. So this is their attempt at trying to get a younger audience in to watch because it's more fun watching guys who out there who look like they're having fun. Like when they get their nicknames on the jerseys or when they're just goofing around and stuff. It's more fun to watch, especially when you have 162 game season. I mean that's a lot of time in between to fill and make it entertaining. So I think it's been really good for baseball.
Yeah.
I know baseball purists don't really like it, but
I'd say this season's been one of the better ones in terms of, marketing, social media, stuff like that. I mean, just this past few weeks, we've seen, great stories about kids, baseball players, not necessarily the Little League World Series, which has been, it's been pretty wild thus far in Williamsport. But Chris Davis letting the Make-A-Wish kid sign his jersey, then hitting a home run. Salvador Perez making the promise to that kid, hitting a home run for them.
yeah.
You see a lot of there just seems to be a lot more player fan interaction now than there has been in years past. I think that it has helped the game. I think we get to see the personality of the players is on display a little bit more. I love what the Astros do, where they took something, made it viral, and now it's like a thing in Houston. Every time somebody hits a home run or they've got a camera in the dugout, they do the Zoolander blue steel look into the camera. I think it is a marketing thing, and I think the MLB and the players are getting a lot better about it.
Speaking of the Astros, did you see that a hotel, I assume it was in LA, charged Justin Verlander $1 million, and the charge was listed as Dodger killer?
Yeah.
Because of the last World Series.
It was in Beverly Hills, yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he paid it?
No.
I would argue that charge.
You dispute that claim.
Yeah, I would dispute that claim for sure.
I would have disputed the fact that 2 eggs cost $28.
Yeah, that was
It's
very
very
wild.
expensive.
And
That's
the
something no
very
one was talking
expensive.
about.
And the pancakes cost $30.
How good do pancakes have to be to cost $30? What
Made from God himself.
What you got to be adding something to it?
That's-
Nutmeg.
No, that's like on.
I don't know.
You know,
Like there had to be
how Pulp
cocaine in them or
Fiction.
something.
Probably. You know, in Pulp Fiction that he Uma Thurman gets a $5 milkshake,
Yeah.
and John Schultz is like,
$5.
that's ice cream and milk. Why is it a $5 milkshake?
Yeah.
They taste it, and he's like, oh, I know why this is a $5 milkshake.
Yeah, I need to taste those pancakes. I need to know what $30 pancakes taste. Is that like silver dollar pancakes?
$7
Maybe
City.
it's gold dollar pancakes.
I don't know.
These are questions we need to answer to. Justin, hit us up. Let us know why these pancakes are $30 and why you ordered $30 pancakes.
Yeah, that's another
you
thing.
can go to like Waffle House and get a better waffle probably for like $1.
Shout out Waffle House.
Justin's wife hit us up.
Yeah.
Oh, she's hot.
Mm.
Hot take.
Good man.
Justin Verlander's hot. Did you?
Well done,
Did you? Wait. Did you see the article where he said that Kate Upton saved his career?
No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
He says that he was pretty much done for until he met Kate Upton, and then she like helped him get back on the right track of like baseball wise.
Really?
Yeah.
So
And-
Kate Upton was a slump buster.
Apparently,
Whoa.
and that is wild to say that.
That is a hot take.
All right. That settles it. Justin Verlander is the best pitcher of our generation.
Justin Verlander, I think, is he's one of the pitchers I think almost everyone in the league likes. Like, I think there's very few people who say they don't like Justin Verlander, even people who play against him.
Right. Well, he's never had any, like, that all happened behind the scenes where he was talking about the depression and stuff like that
Mhm.
and the mental things. But he just seems like a very, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
He's played in some unassuming places, It's not a guy who plays in
He's not going to
New York,
yeah, or
Boston,
Chicago.
didn't play in LA. Like, he played in Detroit and now Houston. I believe those are his.
Yeah, those are the two
I
teams.
think those are his the only
Yeah.
two teams. So he's been in pretty unassuming places. He's just been a stud for as long as he's been in the league.
And props to him for living in Detroit for so long and not joining a gang.
Yeah, for real.
Well, those Detroit teams were salty as hell back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, the team that went to the World Series and I think lost to the Cardinals. He was on that team.
Yep.
Yeah.
What year has that been? Too bad KB's not here. 11, I think it was.
11, the Cardinals beat the Rangers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was so pissed.
20.
Weren't they in it in like 06?
No, Detroit. Who did
No,
Detroit
06
lose to?
was.
Who did Detroit? I think Detroit
I'm
might have
on
lost
it.
to the Giants. And
Tucker's now
13.
Googling it.
Yeah,
It's bad radio. I'm trying to describe what's going on. He's typing with one hand, so it's going kind of slow.
yeah. I just typed in Detroit Tigers too, so that probably wasn't the best one. That might be the world.
There you go.
2012.
2012.
2012.
2012.
Cam Brady 012.
Good year.
Anybody know what that is?
Yeah, it's
Anybody?
campaign.
Okay.
But yeah, Justin Verlander, I think
Well,
he's
also
a,
the
he's a Hall of
Giants.
Famer for sure.
Because it was all those even years.
Yeah, I hate the Giants.
He's a Hall of Famer for sure, though. I think
Yeah,
we can all agree
he's-
on that. And he's a guy that literally everyone roots for.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up his player.
Big
His jersey.
pro Justin Verlander podcast.
Pro Verlander.
What do you think for like these player weekend? They have these jerseys, right? They have
The
the
nickname
nicknames on the jerseys. Like, there's some pitchers that don't pitch during players weekend, and they get these jerseys anyway.
I would get it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like
right.
a fun thing.
I mean, you're still wearing it, but
Plus, it's another jersey you can sell.
Ah.
So you're making more money that way because they're all for sale.
very true.
So what is everybody's favorite nickname on the back of the jersey?
Mine is Kiki Hernandez, which was just Kiki, but the story behind it's pretty funny. So I'm reading an interview he did about it right now, and they asked why he went with just Kiki. And at first he said he was going to go with Swiss Army Knife for his nickname, but for trademark reasons didn't use it. But his other choice was going to be Chase is my daddy. And when they asked why he would do something like that instead of like Utley's son or something like that, he said, yeah, this is a quote, yeah, but Chase is my daddy because, in quotes, daddy sounds better. There's a lot of moms out there that like him, which
Yeah.
probably true.
Yeah.
Because he's so old.
Yeah,
He's an old
way
guy.
old.
Yep.
Another
Probably
person.
some
stealing-
grandmas out there that
Yeah,
like
he's stealing hearts, old and middle aged alike.
him.
Jose Alvarez went with Kike too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
My
Hold on.
personal favorite was Arizona Diamondbacks relief pitcher Brad Boxberger, who had the emoji of a box and a hamburger on the back of his jersey.
First player to ever do that.
Yeah,
First time ever.
I can't imagine emojis being used on too many uniforms in the past, or that it would fit so well with a name.
Another one that I saw on the Diamondbacks was Draw Dyson did Zumbaya.
Zumbaya.
Like his Twitter handle, you know. Mr. Zumbaya.
I think if I was in the MLB, I would put like my Twitter handle up there, try to get some more followers.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, a bunch of my buddies played on like a YMCA like rec basketball team. That's what they did for their jerseys. They
That's
had
a
all
good
their
idea.
Twitter handles on the back. Yeah, smart.
It is.
And I think they lost every game by like 30 points.
Scrubs.
Yeah, no, they weren't great.
Scrubs. Well, my favorite one was Rich Hill.
D Mountain.
D Mountain. The fun story behind old D Mountain, D actually stands for Dick. Dick Mountain would be this full nickname. And he, not what you think. It's not actually what you think.
Well, it's because Richard Hill.
Richard Hill, yes.
Dick
That's
Mountain.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when he was, I don't remember where he said, I saw the story, someone started calling him Dick Mountain and it just stuck. You know, and he just chose to put it on the back of his jersey, and obviously the MLB wasn't going to let him put Dick Mountain for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no. People would draw the wrong conclusion, especially
Right.
in today's MLB with people looking up tweets and
yeah.
stuff. Wouldn't end great for old Dick Mountain.
But it was a good nickname though, because we do the same thing with people where we
Yeah.
just say the opposite, or well, not really the opposite, the same words pretty much.
Yeah. I had a buddy, just speaking of nicknames sticking, in high school, his name was Hunter. And our freshman year, we were both on the track team, just because you had to for football if you weren't like already in a
Yeah.
spring sport. And one of the juniors on the track team who ended up long jumping at Nebraska, not a big deal. But we were hanging out with him, and he didn't know my buddy Hunter's name. So he wanted to talk to him. He's like, I'm just going to call you Chuck. You look kind of like a Chuck. And that stuck all the way through high
Yep.
school. Every single person in the school called him Chuck. Even like teachers, when they would call roll, they'd be like, Chuck, I didn't see your name on the list here. He'd be like, it's Hunter Smith. And they're like, why is your nickname Chuck? Is this, long story. And he hated it. And everyone called him Chuck. And it was so funny.
I think at some point you just have to accept it though.
Yeah.
Named Chuck. Did he look 45 in high school?
I don't know.
That's an old cracker name.
The guy who gave him that nickname also had the nickname Legs because his name was Zach Legband. And he was like almost 7 feet tall. So he was like,
Yeah, but how do you get the last name leg band? You know how like people were giving them the last names for like what they did? And you're like, yeah, that guy makes leg bands, so let's give him the last name leg band.
Could have. You know those like leg bands used for workouts? Maybe his family invented them in like Germany.
Like the
in,
rubber bands?
Yeah, in like
Yeah.
1584.
Like, oh, that name him. I can't do a German accent.
Yeah,
You
I
can
don't
just
know
tell right
what
there.
you were going for there.
The only accent I can do is it starts British and turns Australian. That's one of my accents. Or like
hear it. The rest of the podcast, you have to go British. We'll see
or like
when
a
it switches to
poo,
Australian.
like a poo from like 7-Eleven.
Yeah, don't do
The
that
Quickie Mart. That's a little problematic.
Problematic. But
But
do the British one. We'll see when it starts to turn Australian.
I can't do it. It'll turn on Australian automatically. Like I'll say,
Like what?
I don't.
Just say something.
Okay. This is bad radio, but hello, governor. I want a cup of tea, and then all of a sudden I'll just keep talking, and be like, hey, good day, mate. Like, nice to see you.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Throw shrimp on. Toss me that beer.
Austrian, huh? Let's throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Name that movie quote. Tweet at us.
Named after 2 of the roommates here.
Oh wow,
I said 2. Could have been me.
that's true.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. We'll start. We got off on something right there.
Before we move on, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor, Paison's Pizza. Your ability to hear all 3 of us talk at the same time is brought to you by Paison's Pizza. Thanks to Matt Verslow for hooking us up with the soundboard here so we can put together the sweet audio.
Right.
Honestly, since I worked there all summer, I've gotten like so spoiled by pizza that coming back here eating like
Pizza Hut.
and like Domino's just tastes like garbage.
Did you run my slogan by him? Our pizza tastes good.
Our pizza tastes good. Yeah, he said, "What the fuck?"
Oh well, I'll come up with another one. Back to the drawing board then,
Okay.
I guess. So,
Every week we'll prep a new slogan. So what do you got now?
Paison's Pizzeria, where the pizza is better than the service. That was on the fly.
That's actually pretty accurate.
But anyway, joking aside, big thanks to Paison's Pizzeria. This second half and this whole show and everything from now until forever is brought to you by Paison's Pizzeria.
Until we get more sponsors.
Until we get more sponsors. We'll move on to we got football topics for the rest of the show. A couple big stories. Not a big shocker here. This didn't come as breaking news to anybody, but Urban Meyer is actually a terrible person. He can remember every single play from, 2008, 2009 SEC?
2009. Yep.
Yeah, 2009, 2009 SEC championship, but can't remember when one of his coaches beats his wife. So I don't know what to say about this guy.
The most shocking part about this to me was that he didn't fake another heart attack or something to try to get out of it. Do you remember that? Like last time he was like, "Oh, I have too much stress. My heart's about to kill me." So he spent a year up in the broadcasting booth, and he's like, "You know what? I could coach again.
I'll coach for Ohio State.
I'll coach for Ohio State, I guess."
He tried.
What a
in
piece
the
of shit.
press conference that he gave, he tried to make himself look like the victim.
Yeah.
Never once mentioning Courtney Smith's name until there was backlash from it. And then he said, "Okay, I guess I'll throw out a tweet." It's kind of like, the type of people that don't give a shit until everybody
That's
else
the
gives a
thing,
shit.
yeah.
And then he said, "Oh, well, I guess I can just apologize."
That's
and
what it
everything
was.
will be-"
He honestly does not care about Courtney Smith.
No,
He's a
Which is
terrible
whatever.
person.
You know what? He's not a good person.
right.
But you don't have to lie about it. You know what I mean? It seems fake to then go back and apologize and be like, "Oh, I do." You know what I mean?
Right,
That's-
yeah. I think at that
that's
point,
ridiculous. But
We just
honestly, the punishment kind of surprised me. I either thought it was going to be termination or nothing.
Right.
I honestly thought he might get with no punishment because he did pass it up to his AD, which is whatever. A good person would have done more, but it was another thing. It was it just reminded me a lot of the Joe Pa situation where he told somebody, but then he also told him not to do anything about it. So I don't know. I hate him. He sucks. Ohio State sucks.
yeah. I mean, they're just one of those institutions where it's
If he
Win it.
wasn't winning, if he wasn't a 900 success winner or whatever, he would not have kept his job.
Well-
That's a fact.
well, the players, if you remember that Jim Trussell, when Jim Trussell got in all those trouble for the players
Yeah.
underneath him trading tattoos and memorabilia, those players got longer suspensions and more
And
trouble
Ohio
than he
State
did.
got more in trouble than that. They couldn't go to a bowl game for 4 years.
Right. And then when it comes to domestic abuse, they're like, "Oh, I guess it is okay."
And football in general has had such an issue with domestic abuse in the last few years. You think that they would try to at least attempt to have a better image for it.
I wonder who, because it's the school usually, an athletic department that suspends them, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the AD is also suspended.
Or the AD is suspended.
It wasn't. I don't think it was an NCAA investigation though.
No.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
don't
wondering.
think it was either.
Because if I'm thinking that in situations like this, like domestic abuse situations, any sexual assault allegations, stuff like that, I think it should be handled in a joint effort by the NCAA and the conference.
Yeah.
Because you, as an institution, what brings in more money is winning. And
Yeah.
that's just
That's a
how it
fact.
works. That's facts. Right now, as we're doing this podcast, we're watching a game between Oklahoma and Georgia.
From last year. They're not playing right now.
The
Right.
Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl. Great game. Go
Oh,
Dogs.
Fantastic.
Lots of offense in that game.
Lots
Go
of offense.
Dogs.
But anyway, Oklahoma here. This is the season after Joe Mixon played
Yep.
his final year at Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Had it been an NCAA and Big 12 investigation, I don't believe Joe Mixon would have been on that Oklahoma Sooners football team.
Agreed.
So I think in a situation like this, I think that somebody looking at it with more of a unbiased opinion and somebody who actually cares about somebody besides their coaching staff and their athletes and
Yep.
care about the victims would probably make a better judgment in terms of punishment, if that makes
Agreed.
sense.
You need
I-
an unbiased third party.
Right. It's like if the school dictates the suspension,
Yeah. They're going to do it in their best interest.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, money's the motivator for all college institutions. So Ohio State didn't want to give up what brings in the most money,
No.
which is Urban Meyer and winning football.
Yep. Agreed.
No matter how
Agreed on all
bad,
points there.
no matter how bad the people that they have are, no matter how just
Well, because the people here for them are just they're replaceable. They're nothing. You know what I mean? Courtney Smith means nothing to Ohio State,
right.
and
You just
even Zach Smith means nothing to Ohio State. He's just a positions coach. They can get another good positions coach like that. Especially with Urban Meyer as the head coach. Any good wide receivers coach would love the opportunity to go work at Ohio State with Urban Meyer.
right.
You know you're going to have a winning program. You know a lot of the guys who develop are going to go to the NFL, and you'll probably get some looks by other schools if your dream is to become a head coach someday. So the people are irreplaceable. So what they care about is money at the end.
Little reverse.
It's got really depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh!
Well, that's
I forgot about that play. That play surprised me.
The play Tucker's freaking out about is the one where Baker Mayfield caught a touchdown pass.
Yeah, I forgot about that play.
That was a good
Sorry.
play.
I kind of interrupted that very serious conversation there with me getting surprised by Baker Mayfield catching a touchdown pass, which I'm a big fan of Baker Mayfield. I'll say it right now.
I like him better in the pros than in college. I hated him at Oklahoma. But that was just because I hate Oklahoma.
After this game, he had to humble himself.
He did.
Davin Bellamy, Georgia
game.
linebacker.
He did.
Humble yourself.
Yeah, but I'll go back on this Urban Meyer thing. What I thought was interesting about this whole Ohio State thing is when they went to name a head coach, they didn't name Greg Schiano the head coach, who's had actual head coaching experience.
Wait, at Ohio State?
Yeah. Well, for the interim. was what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for the interim.
Who did they name the head coach for interim?
It's like some
Greg
isn't it?
Schiano's problematic also.
Greg Schiano's very problematic.
That's another thing. So
Why does he still have a job?
Because Urban Meyer surrounds himself with shitty people.
So it makes him look less shitty.
Joe Schiano, not necessarily to make
Greg.
himself look less shitty, but that's the people he associates with. You are
Birds of a feather flock
yes,
together.
birds of a feather flock together. Urban Meyer's a shitty person. You can tell by people he surrounds him with is shitty people, but shitty people who are good at winning. Look at Schiano's record when he was at Penn State. They were awesome.
Look
Yeah,
at
they were good.
and look
Yeah,
at
they're
Urban
really good.
Meyer's just track record of
Yeah.
guys who he sends to the league.
Aaron Hernandez.
He had Tim Tebow, who's one of the most upstanding guys
Jesus.
in all of sports.
That is like the best person he's at. But I
Then
don't think they
on
have very
the
much to do
team-
with each other.
Then on the team, you had Aaron Hernandez.
Murder.
We all know the story there.
Yeesh.
Riley Cooper, who got in trouble for
Racism.
what was it? Yelling, racist
Racism.
comments at
Racist
somebody at a
stuff, yeah.
concert. Let's see, who else do they have? Brandon Spikes, I believe, arrested a few times
Yeah.
since his NFL debut. So he doesn't really breed the best people,
No.
and this is just a continuation. This is something that anybody who's followed his career knew about Urban Meyer, and quite frankly, a school doesn't care. He's going, even if he gets fired from Ohio, he still might find a job somewhere else.
He
and that's what's
will.
so upsetting.
And he'll go somewhere like Ohio State where they don't give a shit about who you are as a person, just winning. Which
Right.
unfortunately is a lot of Division I colleges.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it brings in money.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
even, like,
Iowa
the-
State.
I don't think
Just
Iowa
kidding.
State's not the first school that pops into my head when I think of that.
Low blow.
Texas.
Low blow clones. Matt Campbell's
I
a
could
great
see
guy.
him coaching at Texas. Fuck Texas.
No, they're back, dude.
Tom Herman
Back.
really
Texas,
turning that squad around.
Tom Herman on Urban Meyer's staff.
Yep. See?
Oh, you're right. No, remember it was a report that Tom Herman actually leaked that.
Yeah.
But I've heard it's not true.
I also
But
heard that was
there was a report that he leaked it. That was like some big time tea.
connecting dots there.
Yeah.
That because they lost a number or a
The
top recruit to Ohio
Yeah,
State.
he took it to his penthouse and he leaked it.
Our dads listening to this will not get that reference.
They will not. That's okay. We'll move on to another football story. A big story in the NFL right now is that this helmet rule, the complete concussions to try to defeat concussions, which is just not possible.
You can't.
You can't defeat concussions. Absolutely sucks.
It's atrocious. Did you see that sack in the Vikings game? They called unnecessary roughness.
Yeah, but that wasn't the helmet.
Yeah,
rule.
that wasn't
I know,
even the
but,
helmet
like,
rule. That was
I know,
just
it
dumb.
Pissed me off. The quarterback had the ball in his hands.
Well, that happened to the Chiefs today, which would be Saturday, on their preseason game where they got the roughing the passer call. They have revamped this whole roughing the passer call as well.
It's ridiculous.
And I forgot how much of a nerd that the George kicker looked like until he looked up into this camera. Yeah.
But the helmet rule, it's one of those things where no one knows. It's like the catch rule. No one knows what's legal anymore. Like any tackle that used to be legal, like nowadays you can think like, oh shit, like they might throw the flag there. So guys are gonna get hesitant making tackles. These games are gonna end up being like 100 to 105 because no one's gonna want to make a tackle.
Well, we were watching that Chiefs game earlier today, and Pat Mahomes slid, and I was like, and he got hit. I was
Yeah.
like, that's a flag.
Yeah, I assume they're gonna throw a flag. I think what
Right.
it is now is that it's something that is 50-50 whether or not they're gonna throw a flag or not, and no one really knows when they're gonna throw a flag.
Honestly, I think there's so much confusion because you have to put in such like specific rules.
Yeah.
But I think that football and a lot of sports would benefit if they just told officials, use your best judgment.
Yep.
If this looks like it's a hit that's dirty, or it's a hit that they deem malicious, then that's it. Like, I think a lot of these, like, leading with your helmet, hitting somebody, like, in the numbers, you know, I think they're trying to protect defensive players with this rule because they saw what happened to Shazier last year.
Yeah.
But at some point, you just got to, like, let them play. You know, it's a risky game. You're getting paid
I've been saying
millions
that
of dollars
for years. At a certain point, we have to realize football is not a safe sport. Like, you can't do anything to make it safe. By the nature of the game, it's a violent sport.
Right.
It's where people take out their aggressions and everything. So you can't take away the aspect of you might get hurt, and they know that. You have to know that when you sign to play football, I could get seriously hurt playing this game. People have died playing this game. Dick Buck has killed a guy on the field. It's getting to a point where we can either play football how it is and deal with injuries, or we can just stop playing football altogether, and we might be heading that way. I'm going to be super pissed if that's the way it's going.
Yeah, I just think, and I do think it'll slow down once the regular season starts.
I would think it has to.
Because we see a lot of these where they go into the offseason. They say, okay, this is the rules that we're going to change. This is what we're going to try to do different as a crew this year. And then the preseason, they kind of enforce it harder so that players will be like, okay, we're starting to get it. Then the regular season, it reverts back to the football we're all pretty much used to watching.
I also think it's almost like an experiment for the refs, and they'll look at, all right, how is this rule affecting the game? Is it changing anything drastically, or is it actually helping make things safer or whatnot? So in the preseason, when they do it really hard, they can see how the rule works, and if it doesn't work that well, maybe back off it once the regular season rolls around. I'm hoping that's what happens, because this is ridiculous. Even if you're a running back now, like if it's 3rd and 1, and you just give it to your fullback, to fall forward and get a yard, that's illegal now. To put your head down while you're running.
Yeah, it's not very good rule. If there's 2 categories of good rules and bad rules, it doesn't go in the good rule category.
Agreed.
That's the 3rd category. One of the best receivers since I don't remember when he was drafted, 2012, I think. I don't know. You might want to fact check me on this. Josh Gordon was active today, put on the active roster. I'm excited to see him. He's an electric football player. He's a great receiver when he can just stay off the doobies, stay off the devil's lettuce, and keep passing these drug tests. I did see that he kind of has a tight hamstring. That's just because he hasn't practiced all year.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't practiced in forever. When was the last time he played?
He played last year.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
For a couple games.
Yeah, he got in at the very end last year.
Oh, okay. I
obviously didn't help him
it's
win.
One of those things where I'm like, dude, how do you not stay off weed? Like, they're paying you millions of dollars to not smoke weed.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, I guess he's gotten help, and I don't think it was a drug test that he failed that he wasn't at training camp to begin with.
I knew that. Yeah, that was his own.
Right, because it was a known thing. They think it was like a personal issue or something, where he chose to go into rehab. So, because if he would have got a drug test, he would be gone for this whole year.
Yeah,
and probably the year after too. He'd probably be suspended 2 years because that's just how far he is on the scale.
It's exciting to see him back though, because I really, really want the Browns to be good.
There's some crazy stats around Josh Gordon.
It's been abysmal for the Browns for the last few years, to the point where they're throwing parades because of how bad they are. I think when people think of the Browns, you think of 2 things. You think of like the first time the NFL was ever like a thing, and like Jim Brown was the greatest running back of all time, and then you think after that they were just god awful. Like, when was the last time the Browns were in the playoffs? Does anyone know?
I think it was late 90s, early 2000s.
Dude, that's a long time to be out of the playoffs.
98, I think. Well, they came back in 98.
Well, they lost.
They haven't been in the playoffs since they came back from Baltimore.
I believe they lost an AFC Championship game to the Broncos. John Elway.
playoff
a scene in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yes.
That's true.
Yep, with the squirrel. The puke squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who haven't seen Hot Tub Time Machine, go watch that, because there's a piece of history in it.
Did you see that they beat the Eagles 5-0?
Yes, what a weird score. What a weird score. I love seeing the Eagles lose, but that was odd.
That is
not a whole lot of offense in that game.
Okay, so I was right. Josh Gordon did get drafted in 2012. Not a big deal. He had 50 receptions that year.
Yeah, no, he's a
805 yards. Next year, 87 receptions, 1,600 yards.
And Tyrod could be electric this year.
Dude, and if they get Des Bryant too, he's kind of trash. But
he's not trash. He's just on the downside.
That is.
Look at those numbers.
Yeah, no, he's a great receiver.
That's actually interesting, because you felt like for as much and I think it is because it's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
But you look at this, he has one season where he just went off. 1,600 yards for a receiver is incredible. But you
also,
really
I think he was their only receiver.
Yeah, you really get to looking at it.
Was that when
he's only had those first 2 years where you have anything to base it off of.
Yeah.
Which was the 2012 and 2013 season.
Yep.
So everybody's expecting Josh Gordon to come back and light it up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy who hasn't been
in the NFL
super effective
for 6 years. 5 years. It's going to be wild because it really all depends on how he trains and how he works with the coaches and things to get. I think the mental aspect is huge for NFL players. Like physically, he might be able to make some good plays and stuff, but if you can't know your routes and read coverages and things like that, especially as a receiver, and know where the safeties are going, where the corners are going, you're not going to be able to get open. So he's got to be able to get that mental aspect down, or back again at least, because we've seen guys who are out of the league for a long time and try to come back and just mentally they're rusty.
Right. Yeah, he's got. I think it's even for all the weapons they have now, and the pretty I would call it hype surrounding the Browns.
They don't have a bad defense.
They've still got an uphill climb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They have bad coaches.
I don't necessarily even think that's true. Todd Haley's a good coach.
Hugh Jackson's not a good coach.
Well,
it's astounding he still has a job.
Yeah, he's not a very good head coach. But I think that I don't know. I've been kind of following along with Hard Knocks. It's hard to watch it when you don't have HBO.
Yeah, that makes
HBO keeps that unlocked. But Pat McAfee talks a lot about Hard Knocks, and now Todd Haley and the defensive coordinator are literally going fisticuffs at practice. How they're one to fight each other.
Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley?
No. Todd Haley and the defensive coordinator. I don't remember what his. Do you
Oh,
know the defensive coordinator?
Really?
Yes, because which is a pretty common rule in practice is stay off the quarterback.
Yeah.
But
They're
the
not?
defensive coordinator said, if you want us to stay off the quarterback, block somebody.
Oh, yeah, I kind of like that.
So they're yelling at each other. They're probably going to fist fight, and
God, I hope that happens.
that would
That'd
be
so awesome.
That
would be
we're
such a
gonna buy
Browns
HBO
thing
then.
to have your two coaches get in a fist fight, because you see videos of players fighting all the time, but I don't think I've ever seen two coaches actually fight, other than when Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz got pretty close in that one game.
You know why the defensive coordinator is such a piece of work?
Why?
It's Greg Williams.
Oh, that's right. It was Greg Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
don't
got a
know.
point though.
Yeah.
Block
he does.
somebody.
I mean, he has a point, but imagine
It's not a great point.
going in.
not at all.
Imagine being the Colts.
Yeah.
Colts defense coordinator says, "Well, if you don't want us to hit Andrew Luck, then
block
us."
him.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, with our rebuilding offensive line and our shoulderless quarterback,
Injured quarterback.
There's definitely got to be some give and take, especially when you're, just practicing.
And that's just a general. You don't hit quarterbacks or kickers.
And I mean, even in practice, those skill position guys obviously don't like getting hit.
No.
For, legit in practice, because I mean, you had Jarvis Landry give that speech about guys. We got to practice better. We have to start actually putting in the work here.
He's not falling off the bone.
And then Jarvis Landry makes a 4-yard catch, gets knocked down by a defensive back, and throws the ball off his helmet like he did something wrong.
Yeah,
he did. He tripped him.
A
trip can easily turn to an Achilles injury. It could turn to an ankle injury. With the guys like at speed
True.
like Jarvis Landry, that's their career right there.
True.
That's contact, and that's gonna happen.
They're not in pads.
But you're saying but that's the same thing. When you're saying, I like the defensive coordinator saying, stay off the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you make contact at the wrong spot.
Oh,
The quarterback's
7-on-7
gonna get
though.
It wasn't 7-on-7. That was a full team.
I know, but you can't trip a guy you're paying $40 million a year to basically have speed and run plays. You can't trip that guy.
Then why risk hitting your quarterback?
Well, that's why Todd Haley's so mad.
Right.
I think you guys are arguing the same point.
Right. So we're saying the defensive coordinator is stupid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're arguing the same point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
We're
about
on the
that?
same page here.
Okay. Right. No.
It's not. It's not a great policy.
Yeah. It's a given. It's a given.
I thought he was
thing.
going after Jarvis.
No.
So I just stepped to the plate.
No. I mean, it's
for Jarvis.
it's the same issue, just on field with the players.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
especially for those guys, like you said, like it's their whole career. Like if you get hurt and your Achilles is gone or hamstring's gone, you're never gonna be the same player.
Another thing is people will see that and be like, well, why is Jarvis not being a leader? Why is he fighting these guys? That was a rookie who did that to him.
Yeah, you have to.
So that was a rookie. So you really have to be like, hey, you don't do that shit in practice because like you could really like that's an Achilles, that's an ankle.
I thought they said that was the starting.
No, it was a rookie.
It was a rookie.
Was it?
He still could be starting, but I think it was I'm pretty sure it's a rookie.
Because it was rookie. Well, Ward's the only rookie that would start there.
Was it Ward?
No,
I don't know.
It definitely was a rookie though.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I know that you came out or in one of our group messages said that you didn't like how he was fighting him, but he's really like kind of sticking up for himself because I know like you're basically coming at it, like I know it probably wasn't on purpose, but like it's still not good.
Honestly, I like having guys fight in practice a little bit. I like the little fire, little competition. I think it makes teams better when you have guys out there who are competing. You know.
I agree.
That's not really competing on the football field, though.
But not because that competitive edge, you know, where he's.
Well, I'm saying
it leads to it. I think.
Right.
I think the competitiveness comes to it comes to a head to a fight.
Yeah. Some fights, you get it, but some fights it's just the petty stuff, like the joint practices, Redskins Jets.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
what started that? Do you know?
They just hated Terrell
Pryor.
Terrell Pryor.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Which I don't know. Like I think some fights
he just wasn't. Nobody liked him on that team.
Yeah. And a lot of fights you see happen are between guys that are fighting to stay on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In times like this, I don't know if I'd like to see like Julian Edelman fighting with, any.
Can he practice?
Yeah.
He can?
Yeah, he's been playing preseason.
Yeah, you can play. When he gets suspended, you can play preseason.
Yeah, you play preseason. It's those regular season games that you can't.
Nick Chubb's an animal.
Oh, Cleveland Brown. Nick Chubb.
Dude, that offense is so good. I know they had Joe Thomas. They have Joe Thomas retire, which sucks, especially this year, which they have the potential to be good.
This year.
Yeah, they could really. But I mean, even with Tyrod Taylor being the quarterback there, people really underestimate him. He took to the Bills the playoffs last year. And like the Bills tried to sit him for Nathan Peterman, and Nathan Peterman comes out and throws like 5 picks.
He threw the pick that sealed their fate in the wild card game too.
Yeah,
because the Bills actually played the Jaguars pretty tough in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't he get hurt, Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah. And Peterman ran through that pick.
Yeah, their offense wasn't very good in that game.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. That wasn't a very offensive-driven game, though.
No.
What else do we want to talk about here? Oh, yeah.
I like that stat.
Yeah, we got a new segment. It's called I Like That Stat. This is where we talk about stats that we like. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go first. I'm not really sure if this is like I don't know all the facts on this stat.
Okay.
But I know that this year the Mets have lost a game by 20 runs and won a game by over 20 runs. And I'm not sure if any other team has ever done that in the same season. I tried to Google it and there was like no facts about it.
We'll say it's first time.
Well, I'm going to declare it right now. First time. If I say it confidently, you guys will believe it.
I believe it already.
Yeah.
That's
first time it's ever been done that a team has won a game by 20 runs and lost a game by 20 runs in the same season.
I like that stat.
Good on you, Mets.
I like
that stat a lot.
I
like that stat.
Toby, what stat do you like?
I actually have 2 I'm about to throw out at you.
Oh, you have 2
both
stats
football stats. So one, it's been high school football started up almost universally around the country. Some started last week, some will start next week, but for the most part, all of college football is back, and we've been watching some of the games on ESPN here, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Texas A&M. They just hired Jimbo Fisher, and Texas A&M thus far has the #1 recruiting class in the entire country heading into next season.
Really?
Yes, topping all the traditional powers down south. Now,
I like that
proving that this Big 12 team that came over can compete in the recruiting battles with the SEC powerhouses.
Yeah, I like that stat a lot. I like Texas A&M. They're one of the few Texas teams I like.
They are, but they were
said Big 12 team
that
came over.
They were
to
a team
SEC.
that came over to the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
You were on your phone. You weren't paying attention.
No, I wasn't. I just noticed Snapchat update, and it kind of threw me off.
And the next stat that I have is in prep for collegiate football next week as well. In 2001, Fresno State managed to score 49 points in 6 minutes and 25 seconds, scoring at 7.84 points per minute.
Whoa.
David Carr was the quarterback, became the first overall draft pick for the Houston Texans. And I'm not sure we'll ever see that type of scoring output.
I'm not sure if we will either. I like that stat a lot. That's a lot of scoring.
Yeah, I like
That's
that stat.
49 points in 6 minutes.
I like that stat.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, the longest drive that Fresno State had that game was not a scoring drive. And the longest scoring drive that they had that game was 1 minute and 42 seconds.
Jeez. Game time or real time?
Game time.
Still, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's super fast.
It was a quick
That's
one.
crazy. I like that stat a lot.
I do like that stat. So the Chiefs today, they played a
Yeesh.
football game. They only lost 20-27.
It looked worse than it was, though.
It did. Pat Mahomes today actually averaged 8.17 yards per throw, which would have actually led the NFL last year.
Yeah, and some idiot said that he sucked.
Yeah, some dumb idiot named Spencer Johnson said Pat Mahomes sucks and he's ready to dish him away.
was
It's the third
already
preseason game.
Ready to be like, nope, we need a new quarterback.
It was halfway through the third quarter of the preseason game. Third preseason game, he said, Pat Mahomes, I don't like him anymore. He was, 18 for 24, threw a touchdown pass.
Yep.
I can't tell you the exact number of yards, but I think he was in the 200s.
Yeah, I think he had 2 touchdowns, didn't he?
I just one touchdown.
No, I think it was 196 and a touchdown. I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
For what was
Well,
really
that's close to
down at the
200.
bottom. Yeah.
All right. I like that stat, though. Yeah, I do like that stat. That's a good stat line right there
So wait,
for a
what
good
was-
quarterback.
What was your stat, though, Tucker?
Oh, that he averaged 8.14 yards per throw.
Oh, and that would have led the NFL
Well,
last
led
season?
the NFL last
Or
season.
the stat
like that
that
stat.
last week he
Mm,
would have had the longest thrown touchdown.
in the air.
Yes.
Really?
Airtime.
Yep.
How,
He would have
how
beat
long
it.
was do you know?
Last year.
68 point some yards.
Last
Like
year,
that
the
stat.
furthest was
68 yards?
In the air.
That's 68% of the field.
It was a 69-yard touchdown.
Nice.
Yeah, that was nice.
That's almost 70% of the field he just
Yeah.
covered by air.
yeah.
Well, we got to see this arm strength firsthand when he was in the back of the end zone at training camp,
Yeah,
and
that
he
was
just
pretty
kind of
sweet.
lobbed the ball up there to the 50-yard line.
That was pretty sweet.
Nobody caught it,
Yeah.
but
No, but that was cool.
it was still a deep throw. Oh, flea flicker.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I like all those stats. Those are all good stats.
Okay, here's a good question. What football trick play do you like the best? After seeing that flea flicker in the Rose Bowl from last year, it made me think of trick plays.
Ooh.
One of the ones that comes
Easy.
to my mind is the Statue of Liberty Boise State ran to beat Oklahoma, wasn't it?
Yep, it was Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah. I think the hook and ladder was
That's a classic.
the hook and ladder from
Classic
that
one.
game was the most perfectly executed
Yes, it
trick
was.
play I've ever seen.
False. The one I'm about to say was the most perfectly executed trick play. Also the greatest trick play of
It's
all
gonna be
time
Nebraska one.
because it was now deemed illegal because it was so good against other teams. The fumble Ruski, run by Nebraska. Tucker's getting a big old woody because it lets linemen score, and he's all about that.
Oh, that was late.
But Dean Steinkühler running in and outrunning, all the backside corner barely by like a yard because he was a tackle was, I think, an iconic moment in Nebraska history. And honestly, I think it's at least somewhat iconic for all football history to the fact that they had to make it illegal because it was so good.
I don't know. The small school
It's
from
so out of the box.
it
you
never
know,
worked for me. when
I'm just
I
saying,
ran
the
it
small
in, like,
the small school from Iowa, fourth and 16, 12 seconds left at on their own side of the field. And you
high
pull out
school?
the hook and ladder. Boise State.
Oh, you said Iowa.
I'm in Idaho.
That's why I was
Yeah.
confused. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Potatoes
But
and real
basically a high school compared to
Take
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bigger
I
moment
just think
for sure.
yeah.
But I think the fact that they were so creative and out of the box, and they were like, we didn't even think to put this in the rule book that you can't do this, so now we have to make it illegal. I think that's pretty neat.
Well, there was a play where Presbyterian threw a bounce pass lateral, so the defense stopped on the play, but because it's technically a
Nebraska
fumble,
did that
you can
with
throw
Turner
it
Gill.
with who?
With Turner Gill in the 80s.
I thought you said Tyreek Hill. I was like, Tyreek Hill did
I
not
was
go
like,
there.
yeah.
Turner Gill. No, yeah.
Yeah. No, it sounds
Wow.
very similar. though.
Nebraska football has ran every trick play there is.
Yep.
In the history of trick plays.
Yep.
Even, what was it? Hail Mary? You remember when they ran against the Cowboys?
Yeah.
The Chiefs did? That's not really a trick play. It's just a really good play.
Trick them.
And didn't trick them. What is considered a trick play, you think?
They tricked me.
I think trick play has to be something.
Would a reverse be considered a trick play?
It can. Yes. I think if you're confusing the defense, Oh, no, because then like a
So
counter.
like a counter? would
No,
be?
I don't
Okay.
think that counts. I think it has to be something.
Like, would you say a flea flicker is a trick play?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's one of those
definitely
things you know when you see it, but it's hard to define.
say. Philly special is a trick play.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Any sort of double.
I think a double reverse
Counter.
would count as a trick play.
I think a
See,
single reverse.
I don't even know if the reverse counts as a trick play. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
Really, I think the reverse is so universally read now that it's not a trick play.
It's like a jet sweep.
True.
Yikes.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
And it's also weird, like, because you get the term trick play because it was something ran before everybody else had seen it, you know?
Like
Yeah,
the
that's-
Wildcat was a
That's
trick
what
formation.
everybody.
Yeah.
Trick formation.
So maybe things can start trick plays, but then be run until they're just
Yeah.
kind of boilerplate.
I imagine people thought.
Like the triple option.
Yeah. I think people thought pistol was a trick formation until they kind of figured out how to run against it. Or the wishbone. When Oklahoma or Texas came out with a wishbone,
Mm-hmm.
no one knew how to defend that. I think that would have been a trick formation for at least a few years.
I agree with you. I think that everything in football at one point was a trick play.
Can you imagine the first quarterback to throw the ball forward?
They're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Dude, football purists back then would have been so pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know? Okay, random fact of the day, though. Teddy Roosevelt, my favorite president, saved football with the forward pass. Did you know that?
Yeah, you've told us the story.
Well, I don't know if our listeners have heard the story.
Okay.
So for our listeners out there, back in the day when Teddy Roosevelt was president, a lot of people were dying from football because you couldn't throw the ball forward, so it was basically just smashing into each other and dying on the field.
It was basically rugby.
Yeah, it was basically rugby. But like there wasn't like constant movement, so it was like each team would get a full sprint at each other and smash their heads together and die. So they were gonna make football illegal because it was so dangerous. And Teddy Roosevelt loved football, and I think his son played for like Yale or Harvard or something. So
Nerd.
he was like, "All right, what if we tried this?" And we threw the ball forwards downfield, and people were like, "What the fuck does that mean? Throw it downfield?" He's like, like in front of you, not behind you. And they're like, "Oh, okay, got it. I know what you're talking about now." And so I started doing that, and like deaths went down dramatically from like 24 a year to like maybe one. I don't know, like a weird fraction. So they didn't make football illegal anymore because it wasn't too dangerous. So thank you, Teddy Roosevelt, for saving football.
Shout out Teddy.
Yeah, and bettering rugby.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well,
Actually, you know what? That probably got rid
pretty
of
much
rugby.
making a sport better than rugby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Final thoughts?
Yeah. My final thought, doing the this day in sports history. Oh, shoot. All right. And this day, August 25th, 1920, the first U.S. woman to win in an Olympics happened. Her name looks really hard to pronounce, but I'll give it a shot. Ethelda Bleibtreu.
Just say it really fast.
Ethelda Bleibtreu
Okay.
was the
Oh,
first woman
Ethelda.
to win in the Olympics in 1920. Doesn't say what sport, though.
Probably
Interesting.
running because it was Olympics.
Probably running.
She just won. She just won something.
She
Wait,
won
wait,
the
wait. So,
Olympics.
like, she beat the guys?
No,
Or-
No.
women's. It's the first U.S. woman.
Oh, the first U.S. woman to
Yeah.
win in the Women's
Yeah.
Olympics. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Toby, you have a final thought?
I do. Yeah, because you actually mentioned a stat before the show happened that the Rays had the same record as the Dodgers this season,
Yeah.
which is very intriguing. And the Rays are well out of playoff contention,
Yep.
which begs the question, do you guys think that a league or conference is better if there's super teams at the top and then some we'll say less than stellar teams filling the rest of like the spots in the league? Or do you think a league that maybe doesn't have those super teams but has a lot of good teams that are all like bunched in together would be a better league or conference?
I think it's better when it's more competitive. So I like when there's teams that are really close and it gets all the way down to like the wild card spots and everything where any of those teams could potentially make it in. I understand the argument of having like the best teams makes it a better division or whatever, but I think it's more fun as a fan to watch or to follow when it's really competitive and they're all kind of at the same level.
Yeah. And my final thought was I'm going to take baseball, bring that into college football, because the way I was looking at like the American League, I was like, this is the SEC right here.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like you've got Alabama, Georgia, like Auburn You basically know. It's like one of those three teams is going to go to the college football playoff. They're going to one of those three teams is going to be playing for a national championship.
Yeah, almost without a doubt.
And then the National League are compared to the Big Ten, because there's 5 teams. In my opinion, there's 5 teams that could potentially win the Big Ten, being Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio,
State.
and Penn State.
Yeah,
would be the 5 teams that I could potentially see winning the Big Ten. And I just wanted to get your guys' opinion, because I think that those teams probably don't match up as well with those top tier SEC teams.
Agreed. But I think the Big Ten as a whole is
But
a better conference than the SEC.
which would you think would be the better conference?
I think that you could even take that and compare it within the Big Ten with the Big Ten.
The
conference, the
East and
realignment.
West
Yeah.
division is
Yeah.
so bad.
It's a big
big
gap.
Yeah, because Wisconsin is way better than every team in the West. It's not even close.
It's not close at all.
The Big Ten East has 4 teams that if you put them in the Big Ten West would at least give Wisconsin a run for their money.
Yeah.
Instead of just basically saying Wisconsin, just go play in the Big Ten championship game, and more likely than not losing to whoever wins the East. The SEC, the SEC is kind of the same, but at least you've had Florida and Georgia and all this
what I'll say about the SEC, well, they call it the SEC least and the SEC West. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
SEC West is that I think that the competition in the SEC East is kind of like competition between mediocre teams. It's a bunch of mediocre teams trying to find their way to the top. Because we obviously know.
Well, I mean, you guys have
in the East, right?
Yeah, in the East, yeah.
Besides Georgia.
Well, now without with Georgia the way it is now.
Before Georgia was
right. That's what I'm saying.
powerhouse.
If you go back, not even if you go a year before last,
when Mizzou was
when Mizzou won it, basically, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mizzou won it back-to-back years.
Mizzou and South Carolina, and then we're winning.
Right, but I mean, those teams weren't great teams.
No.
Even the Big Ten years ago, when Nebraska was kind of competing for a Big Ten championship, when they won the Big Ten East or whatever, they're competing against just very mediocre teams. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska wasn't very good, and they were in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, they did legends and leaders.
Yeah.
When they first came over.
That's right. That's what it was. It was weird.
And I think if you went back to that and you could I don't care if you don't want to break up rivalry games, you can put Michigan and Ohio in one, but the SEC does it fantastically because they break it down Mizzou will play Arkansas every year.
Yep.
So you play that's your SEC West team that they play every year. LSU always plays Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia always plays Auburn. They have it very set like that. And the Big Ten is it basically just teeters on insanity. Sometimes for me, because it's just why does Wisconsin get this free run? They play
Literally.
And a lot of times they'll play a pretty whack schedule. If we're honest, they were undefeated last year until that Big Ten championship game, and there were people talking about them as the 4 seed.
Yeah.
So So, I think one of those league issues, and just that thought process in general, just having.
And I know this is kind of going off on a tangent, but I think those league issues are another reason why an 18 playoff would be better than a 14.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're still going to have the conference champions go.
Yeah,
for
I know,
all
but
Power
then
Five.
you might have someone who, if we're in...
Auburn last year.
Yeah, if we're in the Big Ten West,
Right.
or the SEC West, and they don't win their conference, they'll still be able to go to the playoffs.
Right. Well, that's because that sucks when it's the year Michigan lost to Ohio.
Yeah, on the bullshit 4th down.
Yeah. Well, actually, Ohio didn't even make the.
They not make the playoffs?
No, Ohio made the playoffs,
They lost
but
to the
they
Big
didn't.
Ten.
They didn't go
By
to the Big
Alabama,
Ten
right?
championship.
Really? Who
What
was in the
year
Big
is
Ten
this?
championship?
Didn't they?
Is that Wisconsin?
Was it 2015?
Or was this the year that Ohio played?
Ohio
don't
won it the
remember.
first year. Ohio State won it the first year.
Yeah, I don't remember now.
Yeah, I forget, but it was Penn State ended up playing Wisconsin for the Big Ten championship game. I think anybody who just looked at that
The Michigan-Ohio game should have been the Big Ten championship.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those were by far the 2 best teams that year. Penn State beat Ohio on like a block kick return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Michigan beat Penn State by 39 points earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Like, and Penn State won the Big Ten.
Remember when I would always talk about how Penn State should be in the college football playoff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd have been 2 years ago.
Yep.
They should have been. Penn State.
Oh, that was the year Clemson beat Ohio 31-0, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I said that Penn State probably would have played a better game.
Was that the year Clemson won the national championship?
Yeah.
No.
Or they went to play
beat
Alabama
'em.
and lost.
They lost to Alabama. Then they won the next year.
Deshaun Watson Jr. year?
Yeah.
Yep.
All these years run together.
Yeah. Well, when you have Clemson and Alabama in the national championship
Pretty much every year. Well,
Yeah.
except what we're watching right now, because they were in the semifinal.
Tucker, final thoughts?
My final thought is I forgot how bad the defense was in this Rose Bowl game. I'm watching this, and Jake Fromm just called an audible, and Oklahoma did not touch Sony Michel at all. We've seen a couple plays here, like secondary-wise, where Baker Mayfield has hit a wide receiver who has not had anyone within 5 yards.
Yeah.
And we've seen, like, on both sides, the SEC always talks about how they have great defense, but, like, this Georgia defense did not play like the Georgia defense usually does.
Roquan Smith still had a really good game, though.
Yeah, he did.
Hot take. Today we were watching, or I guess it's not really that hot of a take. I want to see what you guys think about it, but we were watching this college football countdown thing today, and somebody said that Lincoln Riley was the best offensive coach in the country by far. There was nobody even close.
It was Kirk Herbstreit that said it.
Herbstreit said it, yeah.
I fucking hate Kirk Herbstreit.
And I don't know.
I didn't go to school at Ohio State.
Yeah, I did.
If you look at like the Oklahoma offense, there was a ton of plays this year where Baker Mayfield threw an accurate ball, but he wouldn't even necessarily have to because his receivers were so wide open because of like concept schemes run by Lincoln Riley. So I think this is just.
Do you think it's more good offense rather than bad defense?
I do.
Yeah.
I think that there's more talented players on Oklahoma's offense than there were on Georgia's defense, which isn't a slight to Georgia's defense. It's just that Oklahoma's offense was like that good, and then Georgia's offensive players were miles and miles ahead of Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah, Oklahoma didn't have a very good defense though last year.
No, well, it's a Big 12 defense.
Yeah,
and Big 12 isn't very no. But then I think Lincoln Riley said something else too, where he's like that Georgia defense wouldn't have been a top defense in the Big 12,
Yeah,
which is just
he
wrong.
He said if they were a Big 12 defense, they wouldn't
be the number one in the country.
Yeah,
right.
They wouldn't.
I think it's wrong.
Well, he said they wouldn't have been like a top 5 defense.
Yeah, which is flat out wrong.
Top 5 is like top 1. Maybe I might give it to him.
It's very no way. It's very like it's very subjective. Like, do you base a defense on performance, how they do against certain opponents they play? Like, let's say a team like Boise State holds the Mountain West Conference to like 8 points per game. Are we really going to say that? That's the best defense because they held their opponents to less points? And then like if Alabama held somebody to like 15 points per game in a season, like they still have the players. Like they. Talent-wise, they still be that defense.
The best way to judge a defense is ability to create turnovers, because that can seriously affect a game to the point where your defense is almost acting as an offense for you and getting the ball back.
That is the only way Oklahoma State stops people.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can stop anybody in the Big 12.
Shut up, folks. Yeah, you basically just have to – in a lot of Big 12 games, like if you play West Virginia, Texas Tech, it's like if we have less turnovers than them, we'll win the game. Because they won't stop us.
You want another? I like that stat.
I would.
Last year, Northwest Missouri State was the only college in the entire country to not give up a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, that's
an insane stat.
That is a dumb stat. Like that's something that you do, and like you're Madden franchise.
That's ridiculous.
Dumb stat.
It's crazy too because last year was the worst year for Northwest since me and Shane have come to school here.
Seen Northwest lose a game.
Yep.
And not win the championship.
Yeah.
I think that'll do it for this week's show. We hit on a lot of things.
Yeah, we talked about a lot.
Yeah, we got on a couple tangents, but that's what podcasts are all about. For boys Shane Miller and Toby Todd, I'm Tucker Franklin. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Nosebleed Radio. Follow us on Twitter at NosebleedsKnow. Like us on Facebook, Nosebleed Knowledge. And we'll catch you guys on the flip. See ya.